Good afternoon, Butcher.
Good evening.
We are hitting our first episode for today to tell everybody what our
Upcoming podcast is about.
podcast Life Fight.
Life Fight, mate.
Fill us in, son.
Excuse me, I'm getting a bit run down. I've been working like a dog.
Like a dog.
A lot. So, yeah. Sunday's like my... actually, no day's like my rest day at the moment, but...
Rest days is podcasting.
Yeah.
Fill us in about your idea, mate, we've spoken about.
Yeah, so for years I've had the idea about sort of doing a bit of a mental health-based podcast. In particularly on athletes or ex-athletes who go through a hard time when they've finished up with their sport. And that sort of mental health is something I'm pretty passionate about, something that I've struggled with a lot in the past, and I'm the first one to say that I still do struggle with it. Not as bad as what I used to, but I don't think it ever goes away, and I think it's something that's pretty important and something that we should be talking about a lot more.
Yep. And I agree with you. I think it's getting more and more exposure as we get older and internet and stuff like that. So people are getting educated about it a lot more. But yeah, with athletes, I think it's the struggle going from, I suppose, not an unrealistic world, but not working your 9 to 5 and then trying to fit into just everyday life, let's say.
Yeah.
It's a big transition for them, I feel.
Yeah, for sure, man. I actually read an article like years ago. It's a massive thing for like Olympic athletes, because for a lot of those Olympic sports, they don't actually have a professional route to go down. So once the Olympics are done, they've had like TV, sponsorships, all that sort of shit. Once I just forgot that yesterday's news and it's forgotten. So it's a massive thing with Olympic athletes. But I reckon it's just a massive thing with all athletes in general, man. Like whether you're a world champ or not, if it's something you put all your time in, whatever it may be, when it's done, it's hard to, when you've identified as that, it's like you're trying to find yourself again. Like, people in their 20s, they're trying to find out who they are and this and that. Well, imagine you're doing that in your 30s and your 40s,
Yeah. And it comes to a grinding halt as well. And even they're just steps in life, let's say, is even something like my dad transitioning into retirement, is a similar situation.
Yeah, for sure.
Where they struggle when their whole life has been getting up, going to work, and all of a sudden that stops, and there's not that no purpose, but the routine is gone as well. So I think we need to talk about it a little bit more and expose it to people as well.
Yeah, for sure, man. Like, we're going to get on not just like former fighters, we're going to get on former athletes of all sports, and hopefully as we grow, we can get on some more high profile people as well.
Yeah, definitely. And like, whether it's an individual or team sport or anything like that, it's all the same thing where I feel like that they're all going through the same things. You talk about Olympic athletes, and I was watching the SAS show or whatever, and Stephanie Rice, ex-swimmer.
The SAS reality show.
Yeah, and they push themselves and test themselves or whatever, but they interview them as well, right?
Yeah.
And she said she struggled for, I think, over 10 years, you
Yeah.
know, just trying to find out who she is and stuff like that. So I found that, and that was in a 30 or 40-second snippet that I saw. But I do find it interesting because you look at it and it looks all glamorous and it looks like they've paved this pathway of, a real setup to not say retirement, but like, oh, they've done their swimming and they're all happy and they're walking the beach every day and all that kind of shit. But you still need purpose, right? And people like that, who I don't know, but I'm assuming have made maybe a little bit of money. It's not a money thing.
No, it's just like I said, it's an identity thing, you know. When I stopped fighting, I pretty much got into like nightclubs and like lots of drugs, all that sort of stuff, because that was like the way I filled the void of like being at the gym, being at the shows, people like, hey, Butcher, what's going on, this and that. So I sort of was getting that at the club rather than just being like going to my union plumbing job and just being like a number nobody sort of thing, you know?
Yeah. Do you reckon that was something also because you had to be so disciplined and all that kind of stuff that you felt like it was something that maybe you missed out on?
Not at all, man. Like, I did, you know, I'd party in between fights and whatever. Not like a fucking mad cunt or nothing, but like you've seen me at after shows, like we'll go out and whatever, and like I'm the first one to, you know, get on whatever and this and that. I don't know why. I just.
Did you feel like it was maybe a little bit of a reward?
It was a reward for sure. Like when I'd finish fighting, for sure. Like I'd have that week off. Like I'd have like fucking ice cream for dinner and, you know, eat whatever I want and shit. And then I'd the horse. But once that thing, you don't have that goal for that thing anymore. I guess it's like, well, I just couldn't. That week of partying, that week of just doing whatever I want. Well, I had something to like turn it off for.
Do you reckon you were chasing like a bit of? Are you chasing an identity after the fighting? Do you think? And do you reckon that's like whether that's in a party scene or a work scene or whatever? Or do you know?
Yeah, for sure, man. Like, yeah, I think you just like you get used to being like, and a lot of guys that like live in the gym, you're in this little world. Like the gym is your little world. And because you don't spend much time outside of the gym, you're like the king of that world, right?
Yeah.
When you're not in that world anymore and you're in the fucking big world, the real world, like that feeling of being the fucking top dog, of being the person everyone wants to speak to, blah, 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 is gone. Yeah. I don't care if you're, you know, the best player in the AFL or whatever. Reality is, once you get out of that club or out of that gym and you're walking down the fucking street, 99% of people walk straight past you and have no fucking idea who you are.
Mm.
And when you get caught up in thinking you're it in a bit, it just makes that fall from fucking grace so much harder when it's all done, because it will be done. Everything's got an expiry date.
100%, and I couldn't agree with you more. And whatever sport that is, and it's not a coach's fault, and it's not a promoter's fault or anything, because they're just moving on to, let's say, the next fighter. You know, like if you're finished, then there's a new up and comer and all that kind of stuff coming through. But for that individual, and that's why me personally, I'm big on making fighters feel special, because that window's only for so long, right? And I think sometimes they don't get enough of them feeling a bit special on the night, because like what you said, it's got an expiry date, right? Yeah. So I think they're entitled to feel that way. But the promoter or the coach, or
It's no one's fault.
it's no one's fault because the world keeps fucking turning,
Yeah,
right?
I think it just like, I think you just need to, like I said, it's no one's fault, but I think there needs to just be a bit of like fucking humbling every now and again, you know, like, hopefully that's what this can do.
Mm.
Like, I remember Hammer said to me when I went through my fucking dark time, he said to me that River said to him, "Fuck, is that what's going to happen? Like when I'm finished fighting?"
Yeah, right.
You know, like he goes, "Am I going to end up like Chris? Like, is that what I've fucking got to look forward to?"
Yeah.
And you know, obviously, like River looked up to me a lot at that time, and yeah, like that might have been a bit of a thing to make him go like, "Fuck, not going to happen to me," you know. Like it's a slippery slope, man.
I think that's where it's whether it's a good coach or mentor or whatever that is giving them the tools and exposing it to them as well, you know, whether it's fighting or whatever it is. And I think AFL clubs definitely, like, they are more educated about getting an education,
Yeah.
you know, finding a hobby or whatever.
Well, they've got the money and the resources behind them.
Definitely.
You know, like, and like obviously it's a bigger sport. You know, you're a lot more well known, whatever. But I don't think that matters. Like whether the sports
Shouldn't matter.
No, I don't think it does at all. Like, and I don't even think it matters if you like in terms of fighting, if you're a world champion, or if you just had 10 fights or whatever. Like it, when you put your whole life into that, once that's gone, it's hard to go. It's hard to start chapter 2. You know.
On the flip side, then, so we talk about athletes as well, but then let's say someone that's, I don't know, done a whole apprenticeship, then goes and works for someone, then puts in 150 grand into a business that starts up and all that kind of stuff, and they put 10 years into, let's say, plumbing, apprenticeship, work for somebody, then save money, and then it fails. Where's that at?
Yeah, well, that's it, man. Like, that's sort of why we're going, with the whole concept of like, this isn't just about fighting. Obviously, like, this is just about life, man. Like, because life's a fucking fight, bro. Like, life can be life is tough. Like,
there's ups and downs, mate.
Even if you've been kissed on the dick with, rich parents with lots of money and shit like that, even those people still go through shit, man.
Yep.
And like, there's one thing I've learned like along the way. It's that you never know what someone's going through. So like, yeah, like I can be, like I'll have a joke about this bloke or that bloke at work to the guy next to me or whatever, but I'll never fucking be a cunt to anyone's face, man, just for the fucking, just because I feel like making myself feel better, because I don't know what is going on in that guy's home, you know?
Yeah.
It could be, but some people go to work to get away from shit, man, you know?
And everyone's got problems. Some people will think their problems are bigger than others. I'm not there to judge that, that's for sure. But I agree, whether it's athlete or whether you've put something into a business and stuff like that, there is ups and downs with life. And it's fucking how you handle it. I got kids, you got kids. And what is concerning is, in my opinion, they're getting softer, right? So people that are struggling with ups and downs and then battling their demons in their heads with mental health or whatever, and these kids aren't even, let's say, as resilient as, let's say, our generation. I'm 44.
Yeah. It's a generation above me.
So, yeah, it is. But it's just a way of life. But if they're more educated about it and it's more spoken about, then maybe they might have the tools on how to handle with the fucking downs, right?
Yeah,
because there is downs. That's the thing.
Yeah, well, that's it, man. But also, this could have been going on to our parents.
True.
We don't know that because it wasn't talked about.
And they don't talk about it.
They still don't. Yeah. Well, Yeah, no. And we don't know. It's like the weather right now, man. Like it's getting hotter, it's getting fucking colder, global warming, this or that. I don't want to get political, but we weren't, uh, 100 years ago, we weren't recording the weather.
Yep.
So we don't know. Yeah. We
Yep.
don't know what our parents were going through with mental health because no one talked about it. It wasn't a thing.
Yep.
There could have been people, hanging themselves left, right, and centre. We would.
Well, there probably was, right?
Yeah.
But it was just brushed aside, and I don't think anyone deserves to be put in that situation or feel like that, So if you can dig them out of it, or if you can give them a bit of a hand, or even just advice, because
Yeah.
I think that's what it is just talking about it.
Definitely. It is good that it's talked about a lot more now. They've been really looking. I really spoke to you briefly about getting this guy on who is involved in the Blue Hats scheme, which is like a construction scheme, something that I've gotten involved in myself. It's like because there's some crazy stats, man, about like suicide in construction. Like if you're a construction worker, you're twice as likely to commit suicide.
Yeah, wow.
Like it's and this guy from IncoLink, I won't say his name, but hopefully we'll get him on to have a chat because when he come out to site and he does these like mental health awareness chat talks and whatever. Fuck, man, like some of the shit he was rattling off, the stats he was rattling off was insane, man. And straight away, I'm like, I put my hat up to get involved in that because that's another thing that's just mental, man. Like, the whole construction thing that blew my mind when I heard that, and it was most common between like people from 18 to 25,
and predominantly males. I mean,
Yeah.
let's not sugarcoat it.
No.
The trade's full of 95% of men, right?
Yeah.
So, it's a problem in itself for sure. So something that we, as we said, just want to continue to educate and get out there.
Yeah, definitely.
What are the we won't give too many secrets away, but the guests that we've got booked in and coming forwards is, what do you want from them? Like, is it just an honest story, or do you want them to educate people, or I suppose what are we thinking there?
No, like so this is just I will say we're all, dads or sons, brothers, sisters. I'm not going to tell you fucking every single thing that I've done in my life because some of that shit's pretty fucked up. You know what I mean? Like at the end of the day, I've got 2 kids. I am a dad.
Yeah.
So these people that are coming on, you and me and ourselves, like you say whatever you want to say.
Yep.
Obviously the show is predominantly based around mental health, so people know what they're getting into when they come on the show. But we're gonna have a laugh as well, man. Like, because we don't want it to be all doom and gloom.
100%. No, we want to educate people and we want to hear people's stories, but life's fucking good too, right?
Life can be good.
Yeah.
Life can be good, man.
Life is good. Not can be, is good.
It is if you know how to navigate.
Yeah.
Like for some, life is fucking not good, man.
Yeah.
For some, really, life is shit.
What do you think about like you say life is shit for some people? Do you reckon that's also an attitude? Because one thing that I personally do is if I got a fucking whinging cunt, like, oh, how's your day? Oh, it's hot. And then tomorrow it's raining. It's fucking cold.
That sounds like every person in Melbourne.
Yeah, I know, but like me personally, I separate myself from those types of people because all of a sudden that person, how's your day going? Blah, blah, blah. They're whinging whether this and that. You become that, and you become not a victim of your environment, but if everyone's whinging around you, guess what? You become a fucking whinger, right?
Definitely.
So you got to surround yourself with positive people. And yes, there's downs and it's about handling the downs, but I'm a big believer as well on if you surround yourself with good people, good positive people, fuck, that goes a long way too,
Oh,
right?
100%, man.
Yeah.
100%. And, that bloke that you're talking about whinging about fucking everything probably is surrounded by negative people as well. His missus probably fucking whinges all the time to him.
Yeah.
Like,
Exactly.
but if you want to, like you said, life is shit for some people. Wow. There's homeless people out there, man. Like there's out. So life is fucking shit for some people, but, and also it's not about like if it's not about your problem being smaller or bigger than anyone else's, man. Like your problem is your fucking problem. When it's your problem, like you don't give a shit about other people at that stage because you're the one living with your problems.
Yep.
So
Well, that's everybody.
You don't have to feel like bad because you're, got something going on but old fucking Greg from down the street's fucking, missing his legs. Like, yeah, that's probably worse, but it doesn't matter because you're not him. Like everyone goes through their own shit, man.
Yeah.
And it's just about having the tools to get through that shit, finding the balance in life, man, like work-life balance.
And also the right friends too, like if you came to me and said, hey man, fucking this has been going on, blah, blah, blah. We've known each other for quite a long time. And straight away I'll be like, man, let's grab a meal or whatever. And you go out and you listen, whereas some other people, as well they'll tell you all their problems.
Yeah.
Right? Listen. You'd say one thing back, yeah, and then they go straight back to their things, you know. So you got to have people around you as well that will listen as well, and sometimes it's not even about advice. You just want to blurt something out, right?
Yeah, sometimes
get it off your chest.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like, well, I know that. Excuse me. I know that. Yeah, so like, it's funny we're doing this podcast now because I had the worst week of my life last week, man. Not of my life, I should say that, but just exaggerating a bit. But I had a week in my own head last week, like, and it all started just from I missed like Frankie, my daughter. She's gone to school. She's started prep now, and so I don't get to see her as much. Like my seeing her every fortnight thing's done. I've either got to get all the way up to Wangaratta, or I've got to wait till school holidays.
Yep.
So I'm getting used to that. And last week I just started missing her. Like one of the days I just started thinking about her, started missing her. And then that led into, I have been up there to see her, but maybe I'm not doing it enough. Why aren't I doing it? Where are my priorities? Am I a shit dad? And then everything just snowballed from there, man. And I just was fucking struggling to get out of bed for the week, man. Like just from that, every other fucking little problem in my life
escalated,
just come to the surface. Yep. And just last week, it took me a whole week for me to get out of my own head.
And that's where those mates are important. Like, and I know then the demons get in your own head. They start, spiraling, let's say, a little bit out of control. And that's where, you need, that person, hopefully, I'm now talking you or whatever, that you have the courage to say, fuck, I've had a fucking shit week, blah, 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 have you got 10 minutes or whatever, and catch up with a mate or whatever. And sometimes I don't know, can that snap someone out of it, I think
that's real important, man. Real important. Like, and going back to that Blue Hats construction thing, the one thing they teach you in that is just having the tools to identify if there is something happening in someone's life. And because a lot of people, especially blokes, like they're trying to tell you something's going on without telling you. Because a lot of blokes don't want to be like that vulnerable where they're going to come up to you and say, man, I'm really fucking having these bad thoughts. Like, I need to talk to you for a second. 99% of blokes will not do that. They're going to do it in other ways. So you ask them, is there something going on, man? So it is really important to have those mates around.
Yeah.
And I know you understand because you learned that probably a little bit of the hard way, yeah? So,
Yeah, definitely. And I think that's something that is it treated when someone does speak up, is it treated respectfully? Because some people will be like, "Oh yeah, you'll be right, mate. You'll be
Yeah.
right," and you're right. It's like I had a mate who was saying he was struggling, and he was back talking about taking his own life, and I did. I've said this to you before. I didn't respect it enough, and I was like, oh, kind of head down, bum up kind of thing.
Yeah.
You'll be right and whatever. And he did. He took his own
Yeah.
life, right? So, and I was really kind of shocked because I thought, not that he wouldn't do it or anything. I was just like, well, no, you'll be right. You'll be right. You'll be right. And it was a massive shock for me.
Yeah.
So I really changed my attitude, and that's where when you spoke to me about doing something like this, I'm very supportive of it because it was someone as well that I was surprised that they would.
Well, you were saying he had a lot going for him as well.
Heaps going for him. Yeah. Successful business, good looking bloke, all that kind of stuff. So healthy kids, all of the above, and from the outside, everyone would have from the outside, everyone was like, what do you mean? How the fuck did that happen? Because it was tick, 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 tick. Yeah. And like you said earlier is you don't know what's going on in someone's fucking head or life or whatever. And I might have looked at it and gone, oh, your problems aren't that bad. But to him, they were bad.
Yeah.
So, and everything can be resolved, I think, if you communicate and talk about shit.
And that's the problem with blokes, man. It's like our emotional maturity is pretty shit. Our communication skills are pretty shit. Ask any of our, missuses or whatever, and they'll fucking be the first ones to tell you that,
Do you reckon there's also still a little bit of that old school, of like, oh, blokes don't fucking talk about that? Do you reckon that still hangs around, or do you reckon?
Yeah, 100%. And like I said to you, like, that's what our parents are like, but they were probably fucking, knocking themselves off as well, mate. Like, we just didn't know about it. Like, but for sure, that is the culture. And I don't know if that's in any other country, but for sure in Australia, that's a culture.
Yep. Well, definitely a bit more in a Westerners. Well, not Westerners, but in Australia, it's like still a little bit like, oh, men don't cry or whatever. You don't fucking talk about that shit. Fucking bit ochre rubbish, And I think there's definitely, now you look at fucking Instagram and the girls find a man crying fucking attractive. Is that right?
I don't know, man.
Maybe a few fucking tears for me tonight, mate.
Yeah, you might get one.
You never know, right? So I think that's, changing a little bit. But having said that is I've watched some of those bloody shows online, those island dating shows or whatever.
Love Island.
Love Island, Mate, these guys are crying a little bit too much for my liking, Butcher, but
they're a bit different, those blokes, that's for sure.
They're English. Sorry to the Poms out there.
Yeah, well, that's why we come here. We get away from them,
Exactly, mate. So, but it's interesting where it's going, and I think the education is definitely getting more and more out there, and I think hopefully us talking about this stuff and getting the people on, I think it will continue to improve it, right?
Yeah.
So,
and there's heaps to talk about, man. Like, not just even in the way of ex-athletes. Like, like I said, we've got a lot of people in the pipeline that we want to speak to. Just from all walks of life.
Yeah.
So I think it'll be great. I can't wait, man. Like, I can't wait to hear people's story. We've even got people on, successful people too.
Oh, successful. I know quite a few successful guys in business, you know, and have come from a sporting background, but never pushed it so to at the highest level, let's say.
Yeah,
right?
well, some of those people have used that, what they learned in sport,
100%.
and put it into something else.
Yeah, 100%.
So I think sport's great in that way. Like it does give you all these life skills, but you just got to know how to use them outside of that sport too.
Definitely, yeah.
For me, I didn't fucking do that at all, man.
Yeah.
I just fucking did heaps of drugs and fucking when I didn't have any money for any drugs, I just started robbing drug dealers and fucking it just didn't end up well from there, man. So
Yeah.
had to hit rock bottom before I realised maybe I can't do this anymore.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, so it's going to be good to get on people from all walks of life, you know, people that have struggled, people that haven't, you know, and just fucking just spread a bit of knowledge to the people out there, man, and just I'm looking forward to it, brother.
Yeah, well, I mean, we won't announce our first guests winding up this first episode, but you know, moving forwards, we'll be looking to speak to these guys regularly, and yeah, I'm looking forward to where it's going, mate.
It's going to be good, man. It's going to be good. What do you reckon? We'll wrap it up, huh?
We'll wrap it up, mate. I think it gives everyone a bit of an idea what we're about, and yeah, we'll look forward to seeing everybody next week with our first guest.
Done, brother.
Easy, man. Well done, bro.